Guys, it's nice to see you again. Today is our last double feature and our third to last episode of this season. Amazingly crazy. Now, today we are going to talk about White Lion versus Winger and Slaughter versus Metallica. Okay, so the first album we're reviewing is White Lion Pride, which came out in 1987 from the American-Danish group White Lion. And their lead singer, Mike Tramp, is from Denmark, and he was actually, didn't start out as a rock singer. He was in a teen Danish boy group. They're called Mabel, and they came out with their song Boom Boom in 1978, and it was featured, it actually won a Danish song contest. So talk about 180. And then Tramp eventually moved to New York City, and that's how White Lion came together. There is a wide array of songs on this album that, sound very different. For example, Hungry, the song that starts out the album, it's like your typical good rock song with the cool riffs and shit, So, Sweet Little Lover. I like how it includes Vito Bratta's acoustic guitar playing, and it has really great breakdowns in the song, and it just makes this a really good LP. Lonely Nights has really cool acoustics, and throughout the album you really hear a really good bass from James Lomenzo, and Greg D'Angelo's drumming is very sick. And Lady of the Valley, I really like the backing beat of it because it reminds me of flamenco music, and it just adds a very interesting element to the overall sound of the band. Of course, Wait is a very well-known track, and it features very mesmerizing and melodic vocals. And it's really cool because it's kind of like in between or like in the middle of like a cool rock song and a ballad. And When Children Cry is a really great way to end the album. And Vito Bratta is like a master guitarist. And Mike Tramp is a very powerful vocalist. Winger released Winger in 1988, and it features our buddy, you guessed it, Dweezil Zappa. He plays left side guitar on the cover of Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze, which is way better than the original. Actually, we could include it in our little contest thing. We did the 30-day challenge. Yeah. Anyways, so other hits that are also on this album include Headed for Heartbreak and 17. Now, this album wasn't as layered as Pride, but it still featured a lot of cool effects, like effects out of Miami Vice, which I liked. Now, I personally think that this album should have started out with Hungry, like White Lion. They started out with Hungry, funny. And I thought it would have started off the album better than Madeleine. That song's really good, but Hungry has more of an eventful start out, and I think it's a better way to start out an album with shit going on, 17 is a very controversial meaning. The song's very controversial because it's about a grown man's relationship or love for a 17-year-old. And thank goodness it was released in 1988 and not now, because those fucking PC celebrities would be all fucking over that shit. Calm down. I wish a grown man would come to pick me up from my high school, when I was in high school. Now, we're going to talk about Hanging On. And to me, Hanging On, it sounds a lot like Van Halen's Unchained, which is fucking cool. So obviously, Reb Beach is heavily influenced by Eddie Van Halen. Headed for the Heartbreak is the closing track and is the jam. And I think it's a really great way to end an album. It's simply a beautiful song, and it features really, really great lyrics. And the way Kip Winger sings it and his bass is really good. Actually, when I hear his bass throughout the album, it's one of my favorite bass playing, honestly, to hear. And then like the drumming and the guitar playing, it's all very heavy. Singer has a very strong voice, and it never goes down throughout the whole album. And it, to me, I don't know, like, I guess I'm a very observant person, so to me it sounds like he is very pain and like he's going through something, you know what I mean? So it's like almost like someone wronged him, you know? That's kind of what I get from it. I love Slaughter. God bless America. Yes. Now, I feel like they don't get enough recognition. I don't know what that fucking shit's about, but fuckers, give my boys more recognition. Now, they actually were born or birthed from the ashes of Vinnie Vincent, which is a funny way of wording it because they have a song called Ashes to Ashes. So, yeah. Anyway, so Mark Slaughter and Dana Strum, they kind of left the band due to personal and professional conflict. Yeah. So, now we have Stick It To Ya, which was released in 1990, and it features hits like Up All Night and Fly to the Angels. So, let's talk about the album. I literally love every song on this album, no joke. But we're only going to talk about a few, okay? So, Eye to Eye, I think, is a great opening track, and Think of June, it's a really hot acoustic. And, you know, like, yeah. And then You Are the One, it sounds like corrected Bon Jovi. It does. It sounds like a corrected Bon Jovi song. I mean, you know, I like some of their songs, but
we rock to the Jovis.
Yeah, we rock to them, but, you know, some of their songs, a lot, there's just... Loaded Gun is a really cool song. It's very interesting. It has a lot going on in the background. It's like we're almost listening in on a conversation that's going on around with like the group and who's ever in the studio. And I think that is a really cool impersonal effect to add because I like it when my music gets a little personal. You guys know me by now. So yeah. And I just really think Mark Slaughter has a fucking amazing voice. And he's just a fucking great vocalist. And I think he's kind of like one of my favorites, to be honest. Up there with the Neil. Now, Metallica or Joke-Talica is considered one of the greats of metal. In my opinion, I disagree. So, yeah. But I thought I was going to loathe Injustice for All. But I ended up liking it a little bit more than I thought. So, that's all I can say. And Kirk Hammett, he was the highlight of the album. He actually kind of made this album not horrible. He was the reason. He's a really great guitarist. Now, I'm going to talk about everybody else now. Jason Newsted, I don't know if you're a good bass player, but you weren't fucking good on this album. No, you were not, sir. You may be hot, and you may have a beautiful chiseled face, but that's all you have to me, because you sucked as a bass player. I didn't know there was a bass player on this album, to be honest. I didn't hear it. Kirk Hammett kind of made his guitar kind of sound like a bass, which is fucking awesome.
He did 2 jobs at once.
That was kind of cool, and he had to do 2 jobs at once, as the director pointed out. He was closing ass, and you were just sitting here with your dick in your hand, and you just weren't doing your job. And then Lars Ulrich, what the hell was that drumming? Like, this is freaking metal. I want to hear some fucking banging on the drum. And James Hetfield, I have a problem with your voice, sir. I have a bone to pick with you. So you can call me. I will give you my number, and you can call me, because I hate your voice, sir. I don't like it. It reminds me of those motherfuckers in the 90s, late 90s, 2000s, singing their stupid rock songs and making me not like current rock music because your voice is so try-hard. You're trying to sound heavy and hard, and it's just so irritating. I really hate your voice. Blackened was a really good way to start out the album, and the guitar was really nice, and the bass was really cool. And Justice for All was also a really awesome song, and it was really cool, especially how it started. And then Dyer's Eve was also a very awesome song as well. And that was the last song, and I thought that was a really good way to end the album. So, the two winners, the People's Choice, are Winger and Slaughter. Yes. Congrats, guys. So here at the studio, we chose the same thing, except for our director wanted White Lion instead of Winger. So it was kind of split this week. But we both decided on Slaughter. We're both Slaughter queens. Yes, we are. And Metallica, I'm not going to call them a horrible band. I'm not. Not a big fan of the sound they kind of started. You know, I kind of give them an overall C. They're not completely horrible, but, you know. And everybody else, I think they're fucking fantastic. And I was so close to picking White Lion, and it's still neck and neck for me. But as the host, of course, I had to make a very tough and difficult decision. So I hope to see you guys next week. This was our last double feature. And in the next week, it'll be our second to last episode. So, see you guys.